A number of clubs have as many as 6 still to play. Ian Birkby replaces the injured Paul Taylor at standoff, otherwise their side pretty much as expected. Well, we joined the first half with 4.5 minutes gone. As usual, Vince Corellius is in the commentary box alongside Keith Macklin.
And it's Castleford playing the ball. Oh, that was a bad ball. That was a bad pass. And lost possession. Well, Mr. Fox has given a penalty. And says Wall was robbed of the ball as he got up to play it. Mick Morgan is signalling a kick at goal. And Mick Parrish with a chance to put the first points on the board for Oldham. Yes, he's kicked it. Castleford 0, Oldham 2.
We rejoin the match 5 minutes later with Castleford pressurising the Oldham line.
Just 7 or 8 yards from the Oldham line was Castrail, 2 points to 0. Johnson, James, again smothered before the ball comes up. Horton, acting halfback, Johnson as ever. First receiver, Joyner firing the long one out. Marchant going to the corner himself. Plan is inside and over. The first try to David Plan.
This play really and truly came from Johnson, who's a great distributor, and then Joyner came in. It was a beautiful long ball to his centre, out he goes, and that's a beautiful try.
Gary Hyde to take the kick. And it falls well short, but Castleford go into a 4-2 lead.
It's later, and with the rain still falling and the pitch becoming more and more difficult, Oldham were deep in the Castleford half.
Jones. Just over the Castleford 25. There haven't been many opportunities of Oldham tries. That's the hooker, Lowndes. And it's Morgan goes one way. Cohen going for the post. Paddy Cohen going for a solo try. Oh, beautiful. Solo effort by Paddy Cohen. Went through the ball.
Well, it's a beautiful play by Cohen, but the man that made this, you know, was Morgan going blindside and acting as a decoy. But this lad, this is really superb solo try. This, he stepped through them with the greatest of ease.
As Parrish puts over the goal. 8-4 to Oldham.
Oh, with the weather causing handling mistakes by both sides, Oldham showed far greater application in the conditions.
Close to the line. Kerwin, oh, that's a long one, and he picked him out. Picked out the number 11 forward, Paul Dixon. That was a good sound tackle. Birkby, Morgan still going. The inside ball, that looks the try for Birkby.
Yes, this is the glorious ball from the old maestro himself, Morgan. Just the way he looked round, struck through that tackle, looked the inside ball to Birkby, strolls over at the easiest to try. Beautiful.
That wind must be fierce. It pushed that out. Castleford 4, Oldham 12.
As half-time approached, Castleford, from deep in their own territory, were desperate for more points.
Penalty count 4 to Cass, 6 to Oldham. Lot of scrum penalties.
Found time to do a bit of tackling, Mick Morgan, then.
Cass have been on the defensive now for most of the second quarter of this half, apart from Gary Hyde's little break. They badly need to get some points on the board just before half-time. Horton. That's Cohen going himself. Clever little kick. Bounce badly for it. No! Bounce better in the end. That's a race for Marchant. Will Marchant beat Mitchell? No, it's gone dead. A great effort by Cass.
It was indeed. Yes, it was indeed. And Cohen, you know, he's watching the game all the while. He sees the Oldham defence flying in, and that's what it wanted then, the little chip over the top. Unfortunately, it bounced right for him, but it bounced right again at the end for Oldham, didn't it?
Into the last minute. Joyner, that looked at marginally forward, but Mr. Fox didn't agree.
Here.
And this must be Castleford's last attack. Indeed it is. That's half-time. Castleford 4, Oldham 12.
Well, the most telling statistic there, the time in possession. Oldham having a much greater share of the ball from a lesser number of scrums and might have had an even bigger lead if they hadn't dropped the ball so often. They knocked on or lost possession on 16 occasions. Castleford only 10. But conditions out there were pretty bad. Could get worse too. Well, conditions deteriorated during half-time at Castleford. It's going to be a right old mudbath. Mind you, some do prefer it like that. We join the second half with 10 minutes gone, and Oldham are still leading by 12 points to 4.
Oram. And Cohen immediately in it. Well inside the Castleford half. They have a long way to go. Powerful running plunge may get to that. It's Marchant first. Neil James made the initial break. 6 more. James gets it out. Johnson. England. Horton coming back to get into it, but there's an easy interception. The ball just sat up and begged then. For who else but Cohen?
There was nobody following Johnson then, unfortunately. He'd made the gap, but there was nobody there. The difference is with the Oldham side, they're all following Morgan.
Jones, Lowndes, Kerwin, Birkby the long one, goes to ground. Castleford possession. Higgins. Acting halfback, Marchant. Johnson getting it out. Horton's acting halfback, Johnson. To Higgins. And it's the 6th tackle. Castleford not able to get away from the danger zone. Cohen, he'll do it with a kick. It's a good deep one, but that's a strong wind facing Castleford. Oldham had it in the first half. Caffery. Foy. Kerwin, Morgan. Just over the halfway line. Oh, held that well. Beautiful delayed pass. That's Mitchell moving it inside. There's the high bomb for Foy to chase. Cohen takes it beautifully. Cohen's up there. He's knocked off. But he took away Cohen's initial momentum. John Keir gone inside for a bit of work.
That was a great catch for Cohen then.
Joyner. Tried to find James, bit of a wild pass as he was swung round. Here Cohen Still tidying up work to do. Just outside the Castleford 25. It's Horton punching it back. That kick couldn't get a bit of ground against the wind. Caffery. Oldham with the advantage of the strong wind and a lead of 12 points to 4. Very much in the driving seat. Kerwin. Taylor's coming inside. Oh, a good break by this fast winger. Still going. It's Marchant who gets across and pulls him down. But it could well be that Castleford's tired legs, with so many games played into plays, telling now as Oldham get up to the 25. Quarter an hour into the second half. Morgan sells the dummy, keeps going, gets to the 25. Kerwin. Birkby. Foy. It's the 6th tackle.
From sheer bomb here, I think.
Short one, and Cohen played it backwards, mercifully for him. But he's buried just 2 or 3 yards from the line. Castleford badly needing to get away from their own danger area. And John Keir's come in from the wing, and if possession is lost now, there's no cover at all on the Castleford left and the Oldham right. Keir's going back towards his wing now as Castleford try to get away from their own 25. Mud clinging around their ankles. Joyner slips it out to Marchant. Marchant, a centre's break, got Plange with him. Tried to sell a dummy as Plange went inside, but that's Castleford's best break for some time. The touch judge is on. Seen an offence, seen a foul. And it casts a warming up.
Yes, this is a cracking ball. Inside. Beautiful ball. Joyner comes on, and a superb ball again from Joyner. Hyde takes it right through the gap, straightening up beautifully. Bump, and that's a good tackle. That's man and ball, and that stops the play.
So can Castleford make something of this? They're on the 25. Horton. Higgins. Just over the 25, it's Castleford driving for the post as they trail by 4 points to 12. Horton trying to go himself from acting half-back. Beautiful move. Just 5 yards to go. Cass striving to get back into this. That was James who was caught just a little short. There's the kick across. It's bouncing awkwardly. Yes, Cass still have it, and Mr. Fox gives them 6 more tackles. Wipes the slate clean. Higgins, the utility man, at loose forward. He's going for the line himself. The Cass crowd now getting behind their side. They want this try. Just 2 yards from the line. Oh, and it's dropped by Nigel Wilson, the strong man who might have made it. And that's behind the line and kicked dead. That could have been dangerous.
That's the best thing to do on nights like this, loose balls like that, get them behind that dead ball line, and let's settle down again and let's see what we've got to do.
Both Castleford subs coming on. Dave Rookley and Ian Fletcher. Castleford on the 25. Well, the clean jersey of Ian Fletcher very rapidly sued in evidence. He's at acting halfback. that might pep Castleford up. That double change by Malcolm really, a tactical switch. That's Horton, that's Fletcher. Castleford looking lively at the moment. John Joyner. That's the try they wanted.
To Johnson, and this man is a superb ball player. See how he delays that pass, flicks one up, Joyner's on hand, clipped it out the air. He's an international, and he shows he's an international.
John Joyner, in his testimonial year, his 9th try of the season, makes it 8-12, and a goal now from Gary Hyde. Cass had possession for a full 3 minutes, and the pressure eventually told, and Cass now back in this game, even more in the game if Hyde puts this over. He should do, but the conditions are not good. He hammers it. 10-12.
Well, it's made this into an exciting game again. We've seen both these teams on rugby league action in recent weeks, and they've been playing some superb rugby. And tonight, under the conditions, I think that it's a first-class game.
Castleford 10, Oldham 12. Parrish. Oldham trying the short ball, but that will certainly stimulate Castleford's attack. Joyner again trying to work a move, but there are 3 tackles on him, and Joyner protesting a little at the treatment he's getting. Johnson beginning to come into his own now as a ball handler. Oops, missed time, got it the second time.
That was rather fortunate.
Ian Birkby missed his first jump, but dived onto it the second time. Kerwin to Morgan. Again Jones, well-tried move in these muddy conditions, bringing in this big prop forward to plough through the mud. Kerwin firing out the passes on the 5th tackle. And that's the 6th. No, the ball must have been touched by a Castleford player, so Oldham fortunate to get 6 more tackles. Morgan, realising there's not much there, the old head holds on to it and says, "Where were you?" Jones, oh, it's lost. Whose ball is that? Mr. Fox will adjudicate. Looks like a Castleford ball. Just on halfway line. This is a nice move. Horton's in on it, but he's driven back by a firm tackle. Joyner. Rookley to sub. David Rookley, a good runner. He gets half an opportunity. That's a nice dumber. Johnson getting it out. Cohen's up there. But it's the 6th tackle, but a much more life about Cass now. They trail by just 2 points, 10 against 12. Oh, what an awkward bounce for Mitchell, but he got it.
Yes, a bit fortunate, Mitchell, there. He shouldn't have waited for that, really. He should have got under that and caught it.
Well, it's Oldham's turn to soak up the pressure now.
Parish is in the wrong position here. I think he should be back and should be given it to him again to clear the line.
There's a big man, Mick Parish, but he was driven sideways then. That's Wally Jones. Real solid grafter. Now's the kick. Dropping for Marchant. Taken well to Rookley. That's putting it together much better. Nice ball from Joyner to Flange. 15 minutes left. Fletcher's dropped it. But it still keeps going. That's the 45th time in this game that the ball has been dropped. Cass 21, Oldham 24. But on a night like this, who can blame them? Joyner, Johnson. On the halfway line. It's Fletcher moving it wide to Horton. On the 6th tackle. Cohen, the short one, going after it well, but very, very well taken indeed. Chadwick was the man who took that under a lot of pressure. Morgan gets away. Still going strongly, Mick Morgan. Gained 20 yards then. Has a quiet grin at John Joyner. No doubt exchanged a word or two. Jones. Parish is there. So's Birkby. And that's gone loose. That was a gift to Castleford. Birkby didn't really look when he was throwing that out. Gary Hyde was onto it. Oldham. Johnson. Well, it was taken at the second attempt. Yes, moving it around with Horton, but he can't get away from the tackles. Gary Hyde didn't really know where that was. Well, Mitchell hasn't had many chances to run. And he's going no further. Marchant to put him down. In the Oldham front row that's been doing the tackling. Horton 37, Johnson 29, and England 24 at this stage.
They're using Wally Jones at first man. He's coming in, driving and pulling everybody in and creating some space, and then they bring Mick Morgan in.
That's Flange. Feeling that kick from Cohen. He's very fast, David Flange. He's still going. What a brave run. Crowd giving him a big hand for that, and that'll motivate Cass. Nothing picks the side up more than seeing that one of their own number going. That was a powerful tackle. The trigger was popped on that one, but still Cass go forward. And that was a bit ambitious by Barry Johnston in these conditions, Vince.
Yes, very much so. Tried the underhanded pass there, but he couldn't see where he was passing it, really. He's had enough with two hands, never mind one when it's like this.
Wally Jones takes a lot of tackling, committing 2 or 3 tacklers every time. Cohen gets the ball. Whoa, beautifully taken. Caffery out there. Going well. Mitchell hasn't had many running chances, but he dragged into touch. The scrum 15 yards from the Castleford line. Castleford leading in the scrummages by 9-5, although Oldham have had 2 against the head. Oram getting it out well, rugby union style, throwing himself absolutely flat. Now Cass trying to break away from their own line. Just 2 points in it. Castleford badly needing the points to get away from the relegation area. Oldham 12 points to 10. They want to consolidate that place in the top 8. Of course, the position they finish in depends their position in the Premiership playoff. Who they visit. So 2 points vital to both sides, even more so for Castleford. Taylor. Oh, Taylor running well and strongly deep into the Castleford half. Yeah, Kerwin. Up to the 25 with that break by Chadwick. Kerwin. There are men to spare. Morgan had to stitch it up, decided not to pass. But Oldham leading 12 points to 10 on the Castleford 25. There's Kerwin selling a dummy. Kerwin had an amazing match. He leads in the tackle count with 31 for Oldham, and he's been in every attack. There's this big front row forward. Wally Jones made a lot of ground then. Going the short side, Morgan the kick through. It's bouncing anywhere. Oldham almost squeezing in the corner, but a knock on.
Well, Oldham have got them under pressure now inside their 25 in the last 10 minutes of the game, and what they've got to do now, they score now, they really put the nail in the coffin. So we've got an all-out effort really now from Oldham, and Castle have got to defend like hell.
They've also got to wait to the other end if they want to win this match. They trail 10 points to 12 Castleford. This is a vital scrum to win, and it's Oldham who won it. Oh, that was a good scrum to win. Bad one for Castleford to lose. Oldham have been winning scrums against the head. Trying the drive from close in. They've got a line out, but the forwards making the initial wedges. Again the dummy by Morgan. They may move it wide on the last couple of tackles. Yes, here it comes. There's the dummy, there's the ball, and again it's dropped. And that's been so much the story of the night. Great chance missed.
Well, that was a walking day there, really. But like again, the eye off the ball in conditions like this, you know, you've just got to keep your eye on it. 2 hands and keep your eye on it.
Castleford inside their own 25, needing to get away to the other end. Trailing by these 2 points. Just 7 minutes remaining for Oldham to hold on, for Castleford to pull this one out of the fire.
Well, what I'd be doing here, I'd definitely be bringing Coyne in and getting this ball up the park and trying to get them under a bit of pressure. Stopping in their own half, this, you know, they'll achieve nothing like this.
There's the kick. That's Gary Hyde kicking that one, and a knock-on. Yes, you know, Ian Burkby couldn't get away with that under the nose of referee Derek Fox. So that's gained a bit of ground, but really Castleford wanted up in the Oldham half. In these last 6 minutes, they've got to get into the Oldham half. Mr. Fox not happy with that. Ian Oram has head and ball. Gets it. Cohen has moved up into the 3 quarters with Wookley going to the back. They're looking for these pieces of sleight of hand from Johnson to work something. Hyde. Oh, what a good tackle. Splendid tackle coming in from Mick Worrell. Cohen again. Well pouched by Taylor. Mike Taylor up to the 25, but Castleford have got play territorially within the Oldham 25. If they can go through 6 tackles now, they're going to force Oldham to kick and give them possession. Cohen. Jones. Tireless foragger, Wally Jones. Just 5 minutes remaining. Oldham hanging on to a 12-10 lead. Morgan again. Oh, that's knocked down. That was a knock on anyway, but at least it'll be a scrum. 12 yards from the Oldham line. And when we talk in terms of tackle count, how's this for one? Steve Horton, the deputy Castleford, for 40 tackles. But at the moment, Cass trail, and Steve couldn't do his other job there, which was get the ball from the scrum just when Cass needed it. Oldham hanging on grimly. Kerwin decides to hold on, not to do anything silly within the 25. Morgan waiting as first receiver. And he too decides not to try anything silly. In these conditions, the ball could go to ground in the Oldham 25. They've got the 2-point lead. It's up to Castleford to come and get them. Wally Jones, it's not spectacular stuff, but it's winning rugby, this. There's the kick by Kerwin, and it does just enough to get play into touch on the halfway line and drive Castleford back.
Well, under conditions like these, I mean, these lads are not bothered about the entertainment. They've played an awful lot of football, and what they'll be worried about tonight is getting the winning pay.
You're such a materialist, Vin. Ian Oram. That was a good one, too. Cohen's up there. Well, what can Castleford do with this possession? Lose possession.
Well, Keith, if Oldham are flying up in the tackle, the obvious thing is the little chip over.
Just 3 minutes remaining for Cass to do it, for Oldham to hold out. Johnson holding it, waiting for someone to come onto it. These players absolutely caked to his mud, but still trying to produce some magic. David Rookley, can he do it? The sub. It's the 6th tackle. Cohen, the high bomb, doesn't gain much ground, goes up straight. And it's Oldham who have it. Looking for Mitchell. And he's not able to get away. Worrell coming on the burst. Worrell and Chadwick have been used a lot on the burst tonight. Mitchell again. Mick Parrish the kick. Marchant going back for it. Rookley. Not able to get away from the tackle. Dixon, the Oldham second row forward, has made 19 tackles since half-time, so he's been very much a match winner, so it proves for Oldham. Wilson. Time running out for Cass. They trail 10-12 then. As far as they're concerned, the wrong half of the field. Johnson getting out to Horton. The 6th tackle. Just 1 minute remaining. Johnson, the kick, goes after it. Hoping for a drop ball, but not that time. Penalty to Oldham. Putting in the knee. What an awkward time to do that when there's a minute remaining and you're 12-10 down.
with Johnson kicked then. He didn't look really because of the little Bobby standing behind acting half-back, and there's nothing gained from it.
Mick Parrish finds touch, and as the seconds tick away, it's Oldham leading 12-10. No, he doesn't go into touch. It's Planned who takes it. Well, that was a bad one for Mick Parrish to miss tactically. With only seconds remaining, Castleford, this could well be their last chance and last attack as they trail 10-12. Oldham going hard into the tackle. And it's too late for Cass. This tired and exhausted side after two very heavy cup semi-finals. Oldham's last league game of the season finishes in a 12-10 win. An exciting game despite the mud.
Well, even though it was their fourth game in 7 days, Castleford were by no means overrun in the second half. They won more scrums and closed the gap for time in possession. But it wasn't quite enough. Well, another important result tonight, and one that'll have a great bearing on the champion.
By Australian Gavin Miller. It followed lovely work by Prome and Smith before Miller gets the final pass to help set up an 8-0 lead. But Castleford's reply was a classic. Beardmore breaks away. Now watch for the cheeky kick. Then the next problem. 3 reds against him. But Clark, number 2, misses it, and Beardmore gets the touchdown. In the second half, with Rovers 10-6 up, they threatened to take Castleford apart. Another Miller try coming up now. No real danger initially. But here's the sidestep coming up. Wish I could do that. And a gap appears. Try number 2. Just. At 16-6, Rovers were in complete control, and minutes later, more so, as Clark gallops over in the corner with no Castleford defence in sight. Then Dorahey landed the goal of the match, and at 22-6, surely, Castleford were finished. No way. After 65 minutes, Castleford came back, and fittingly, the man who created it was Kevin Ward. You can't really miss him, number 8 and about 2 yards wide, but also a tremendous player. Marchant gets the pass to score. Beardmore's goal made it 22-12. 7 minutes left and Castleford strike again. Recognise this man? Kevin Ward again. And once more Marchant is waiting to get the final pass, or rather bounce, to score. Despite Beardmore's goal, it was 22-18 to Rovers, with Miller's 2 tries decisive.
Gavin Miller, of course, was the man of the match, quite rightly so as well. Tremendous game he had.
I thought he had a marvellous game, yes. I think Gavin's realised today that if he does run forward at defences in Great Britain, he'll do a lot more damage, and that's just what he's done today. 2 tremendous performances, I thought, were Gavin on our side and Kevin Ward on the Castleford side. He had a tremendous game.
Yes, Kevin Ward is such a powerful player, isn't he? He was the one that caused you problems towards the end.
He caused us problems because he was hitting it up just outside of the rucks, and he was getting rid of the ball, and he was figuring in both Castleford tries late on. Great Britain coach perhaps has a few pointers here? I would think so, yeah. I think probably Morris would have a look at Kevin Ward today and think he's found somebody there.
The Challenge Cup, Rugby League's most prestigious trophy, and in less than 24 hours, we'll know who's won it. Good evening. The scene is set for the game's big day at Wembley. In last season's final, Castleford triumphed. Tomorrow, Halifax and St Helens do battle for the honours. It's a combination of a season of mixed fortunes for the game. While many of the top clubs have prospered, for those at the bottom, it's been a fight for survival, with strong predictions that some will go to the wall. Later in the programme, as well as previewing tomorrow's final, we'll be discussing this growing divide. David Oxley, the Rugby League Secretary-General, and Malcolm Reilly, the Great Britain coach, will be giving their views. But first, let's turn the clock back to early October and the arrival of the Australian Test team. When they were here in '82, they swept all before them and didn't lose a game. The man who was charged with trying to plot the downfall of these latest tourists was Maurice Bamford, the then Great Britain coach. He's been reliving some of the agony for us.
Everyone knew that the 1986 Australians were going to be a handful even before they touched down. But surely this side couldn't be as strong as the '82 Invincibles. Peter Sterling in the middle there was generally accepted throughout the world as the best scrum half. Some of the other players weren't so well known, but the big guy there with the beard, Noel Cleal, he's some player. I wish I'd never seen him before. It's a sign of their strength when someone like Big Mal Meninga, the Scourge of '82, couldn't even get into Wally Lewis's team. The setting for the first Test match was a masterstroke. Old Trafford. 50,000 spectators packed in, and my team, Great Britain, raring to go with a chance to put the record book straight. Just look at that, the biggest crowd for a Test match in the history of this game in this country. I'm not making any excuses. The preparation had been tremendous, possibly the best ever for any Great Britain side.
Lewis.
But while we'd improved, so had the Australians.
And he's in, yes, to Miles, 9 minutes gone, first try to Australia.
I've never seen a team with so much all-round ability, no weakness from full-back to loose forward.
Lewis, oh, that's a good ball. To Miles, he's got space on the outside here. O'Connor, he's in.
But we had our moments, and this was one of them.
Oh, beautiful ball here, Joe Lydon. He's got Henderson Gale, can he beat Lindner? He's got Hanley's go over the corner himself. Oh, this is a magnificent try! Magnificent try!
For me, the try of the Shaders, and for a while the Australians wobbled. Then they changed up a gear.
Oh, that's a good run. He's got Miles with him. And that's what he can do. They've got the class.
The press gave me a roasting for picking the same side for the second Test at Ellen Road, but I felt the team needed stability. Hanley was injured, and we missed him terribly, and we got punished for our basic errors.
Gary Jack, and he must be into the corner there. He is, and all that came off a loft ball.
For the third Test, changes were necessary. Injuries forced some of them, but the inclusion of Andy Gregory at scrum half enabled us to give the kind of display I've been searching for.
These two half-backs, Sterling and Lewis, already for my money.
At last, a bit of pride. In fact, the Lion rode. The only trouble was that damn kangaroo did as well.
This is still dangerous. They've got Lindner running, and he's in. No problem. That's a good ball from Pinner. That's what he's in for. Now here's a golden opportunity. Gary Schofield. He must score. He does. Now that is a first-class try. That's as good as any try we've seen in this series.
But at least in that performance, there's something I hope for Mal really to build on in the future.
Maurice Bamford, the former Great Britain coach, looking back over the Aussies' clean sweep. It's now 9 years since we last beat them in a Test match. So what is it that makes them such a powerful force in rugby league? To try to gain an insight, we commissioned this special report from David Fordham of Australia's Network 10.
To dummy half. On to Sterling. Sterling gets a pass to Lewis. Lewis is on the surge, and he's over!
Australia's whitewash of Great Britain in the three-match Ashes series late last year again underlined the widening gap in playing standards between the two countries. Great Britain's performance was a far cry from the 50s and 60s, where the famous white, red and blue jumpers were more akin to the role of master than the now position of pupil. Those days must seem centuries old at present, but history books do record the dominance. Players like Alex Murphy, David Bolton, Vince Corelius, Eric Ashton and Dick Huddett once held over their green and gold enemy.
Eluding Gasnier, Beattie and Rasmussen, but watch Parrish slow him down. In comes speedy winger Cleary to finish off the tackle.
So the obvious question remains, what has caused the tremendous gap in playing standards between rugby league's greatest and traditional adversaries?
The speed of the game's the major difference, and I think that comes back to a couple of things. One is their attitude. Their attitude's more of a social type football over there, and the other thing is their fitness levels. They just they don't put in as much time into their preparation, and that reflects in their fitness.
The Australian training schedules, is there any comparison to be made with the English club sides?
Well, not that especially at Widnes, you know, it was mainly a few laps. Then the oval game, a tick and pass, as they call it, and then very little conditioning, if any, and then over the pub for a few pints. It was, you know, that was the go.
But to their credit, the fact is that they play a lot more games. They rely totally on match fitness.
Yeah. I suppose they're not playing in 25-degree heat, but they do play a lot of games. But on the same token, the two games they play in 1 week over there probably wouldn't be as hard as one game here you play on a weekend.
The last three Ashes series have witnessed a whitewash in favour of Australia. Undoubtedly, they lead the way in fitness, in coaching methods, the marketing of the game, media exposure, and the resultant crowd-pulling potential. One wonders the right direction the English League must now take to narrow the difference in playing standards.
They're catching up slowly. I think they're starting to realise now after a long time that fitness is of course, the ultimate in the sport they play, because the Sydney sides are so perfectly fit, whereas English sides tend to be a little bit lazier. But, you know, I'm not trying to take anything away from them. They have got some very skillful players over in England, and they're the players such as Ellery Hanley and those type of blokes are the guys that give Australia so much trouble. And if they ever do get as fit as Australia, the English national side, I mean, if they ever do get as fit, well, we're going to be in a lot of trouble.
It's important to note that even at schoolboy level, Australia's elite young athletes are exposed to the television audience in the long-running Commonwealth Bank Cup competition, a knockout championship in its 13th year. From this platform, 6 players emerged to make their mark with the 86 Kangaroos, and players of class they were. Sterling, Lamb, Sirenen, Alexander, Langmack and Elias.
Well, as far as the Great Britain players are concerned, we've seen them come out in their summer to play in the Sydney Grade Premiership. How big a step is it for them as far as fitness is concerned to start with?
Well, I hope it's not going to be a very big step for Gary Schofield and Louis Crooks, but being realistically, it is a fair change from English Rugby League. I think some of the skills are different, particularly around the play-the-ball area and dummy half area, and the fitness. It's a huge jump to come here in Sydney and play and have to take the knocks week in, week out on our much harder grounds.
Do you think it'll be a culture shock for them? They have had a couple of seasons out here before.
Well, they're going to adapt much better than most English Rugby League players would, simply because they've been here and they know what to expect. I hope they're going to be well prepared.
Sydney's first-grade premiership, the Winfield Cup, is where it's make or break. Players can command huge money to play and prove themselves in the toughest arena of them all. Naturally, professionalism in all aspects of the game is demanded by the clubs in respect of playing and training performance.
That report from David Fordham of Network 10. Now, looking at the power and success of the Australian game, you could easily get the impression that they're light years ahead of us. But that's not the case. There are clubs in this country that are a fair match for the best Australian club sides. But alongside them are others in the English game who find it a struggle simply to survive. The huge gulf between the top and bottom is seen as one of the biggest problems facing rugby league in this country. Peter Pitt has been looking at 2 examples of this great divide.
This is Central Park, home of Wigan. Wigan have been so outstandingly successful in the Rugby League that they're almost in a league of their own, barely beaten this season and runaway champions. Even on a wider stage, they're unstoppable, accepted as a match for any club side in the world. Difficult to believe then that a few years ago, mighty Wigan, languishing in the 2nd division, came to Huddersfield and were beaten. Since then, however, while Wigan have scaled the heights, Huddersfield have struggled to survive. From their proud heritage as the birthplace of rugby league to today's sorry picture of decay. Off the field, every stand has been labelled as unsafe. On the field, the story has been a sad one too, with scant success to record. Great though this contrast may be, it's just one example of a widening divide across the rugby league.
I am doing.
At Wigan, from the moment the players arrive on match day, everything exudes success and money. It's all been achieved since a remarkable change of direction 5 years ago. The club had debts of £250,000, but by taking a hard-nosed commercial attitude, one example, attracting sponsors by lavishly wining and dining them and their guests, they've turned that into a £135,000 profit. Everything at Wigan makes money. Even the hallowed boardroom was cleared to provide a club for privileged supporters who pay very handsomely for the honour. Success on and off the field has been masterminded by director Maurice Lindsay and his coach Graham Lowe. Their secret can be summed up in one word: Australia.
I think when we first came onto the board, the 4 members took a radical look at the English game, took a realistic look at the Australian game, which was leaping ahead both in playing standards and on the commercial side, and decided that we needed to change, basically. So we went to Australia, we had a look how they did things, how they played, how they trained, what their approach to the whole business was, and I must confess we copied, but we threw a lot of effort into it, and it has resulted in some success.
Success comes in the form of £1 million worth of players and arguably the best rugby league coach in the world, New Zealander Graham Lowe, who has all the professionalism of the game down under.
You blitzed these blokes last time, you blitzed them good and proper. You just went off a little bit because you started trying to duck all over the field. No sidestepping, no trying to weave in and out, just go for your quit, pin your ears back and go.
The Lowe approach is ultra-professional. Discipline in the complex game plan, discipline in diet and relentless training, and winning aggression. The player's reward can be a salary to match the Prime Minister's.
Well, financially, it can be very rewarding indeed. As for emotional, it's great. I mean, we've won the Lancashire Cup twice and the John Player twice since I've been in the side, and a few other new players. It's very rewarding indeed.
What about the feeling of going out in front of a huge crowd like the one you've had there today?
It's fantastic. I mean, you're about 6 feet tall. Well, in my case, 6 feet tall, because I'm only short. But your chest sticks out. As soon as you walk out, the crowd starts cheering. It's just unbelievable.
This crowd at Wigan is 13,000. Over at Huddersfield, just 370 people have turned up for today's game. Gate receipts won't even cover the players' wages, £70 each if they win. And finding the cash to pay for new players is a constant headache. At Huddersfield, they're bitter at the way the top teams pay big inducements and huge salaries, pricing their poorer cousins out of the market. Coach Jack Addy would like to see a statutory wage for players. The alternative is that his promising youngsters will be lured away. The stands need expensive improvements following the Bradford City fire, so the fans are restricted to the open terraces. Even the director's box must remain eerily deserted during the match. The chairman himself, John Bailey, has to sit below in the concrete dugout. Having taken on the unenviable burden of keeping the club afloat, his solution has been to focus his attention away from the immediate problems with team and ground. Instead, he's concentrated on promoting profitable wedding parties and social events at the adjacent pavilion.
My philosophy has been that if we have a sound financial base to work from, then clearly we would be hopefully in an awful lot better position to get the rugby league side of it right as a secondary measure. You know, our local club Halifax have chosen to do it the other way, and God bless them, there they are through to Wembley. The best of luck to them. It's exactly the reverse way around to I, particularly because I'm not a deep-rooted rugby league man originally, so obviously I'm far happier backing my judgment to the things I feel I can do better, and that certainly is the commercial operation at the club. Once we've got that right, then I'm quite sure that the rugby league side of it, we can start to address the problems in a serious manner then.
Many of the fans who are left disagree. They see only a downward spiral, with no money spent on players, leading to no success on the field. And on the terraces, where 30,000 watched Huddersfield take every trophy, there are sad memories.
This is a rugby league town in Huddersfield. I mean, you know, you used to get 20,000 at one time regularly. But it's just, so when you have success, it just drifts away from you. People just lose interest.
Some would say Wigan have recovered because they've always had a bedrock of crowd support and the help of some very rich local people. Huddersfield, goes the argument, aren't so lucky. But at Wigan, they say the great divide is about attitude.
Without being disrespectful to them, I think that there's probably a few teams around that are basically still the old 3 or 4 times around the paddock and a game of touch. Really, you know, that's not going to do anybody any good whatsoever. It's just it's a good time and a good opportunity to meet your mates. That's how I see it.
It's easy to stand up at the top and look down and criticise. But believe me, half of these people who are criticising couldn't do the jobs in the second division that we are doing, and the money we're having to do in the time. Most coaches in the second division, it's costing them money to do it. They love the game, and, you know, I don't care what they say up there.
If you put up a sign saying to the public, you pay £2 or £3 to come in here because we're selling you entertainment, and then that's what we've got to do. We're in the entertainment business. We've got to compete with Dallas and Dynasty. We've got to supply the public with excitement. So if you're charging money, no, you've got to work to the same standards as Wigan. You've got to deliver the goods.
In my opinion, the only answer is to merge clubs.
What do you mean?
Well, I think at this point in the game there has to be less clubs playing the game, unfortunately. The reason being that I think there are less people watching the game. We could play at a far better level and there would be more players of a better calibre to go around.
Are Huddersfield going to be here next season, or are they going to be one of the clubs to go?
I think we're highly likely to be here. I wouldn't like to guarantee it.
At Wigan, the optimists feel rugby league is poised to become the next national sport. At Huddersfield, they're struggling just to stay in the game.
A graphic example, I think you'll agree, of the gulf that's developed between the top and the bottom in the rugby league. Well, let's turn now to our guests in the studio. And first of all, David Oxley, how concerned are you about this ever-widening gap that apparently exists now?
Well, in any competitive sport, the winners and losers, those that succeed and prosper and those that are always struggling, Harry. My main concern, I have to say, is that we'll do what we've done far too often in our history and somehow legislate against those who are finding success through their energy and enterprise and getting their house in order, and somehow arrest that forward progress. Now, I'm dedicated to trying to make sure that that doesn't happen, and I think the current council and management are of that mind at last too.
What basically then is the root of the problem? Is it lack of cash or is it a lack of talented players, would you say?
Well, it's both, of course. Cash has always been important in the game and the ways to it. But Malcolm's club, Castleford, have never been big spenders, never been in a position to be, but are always there or thereabouts when it comes to winning honours. And Doncaster this year, the new regime there, have shown what can be done from modest, in fact, even very, very difficult beginnings. We certainly have got to get our player production right, though, our production line. As we've seen, the gap there, compared with Aussies, for instance, is very, very big, and that's another issue.
And isn't the production line part of the amateur game as well? There still is a gulf between the amateur game and the professional side. I mean, isn't it time that you really knocked the barriers down and started to play the same game together?
We do for most of the time, and of course, yes, Barla are largely responsible for the development of young players, and they have some very ambitious and I think very progressive and forward-looking plans about development areas, centres of excellence, and bringing on the youth game, without which we can't prosper, that is true.
Well, let's move on to Mal Reilly now. You've got the job, Mal, of trying to beat these Aussies who we've seen. Now, are you worried, really, that there isn't enough homegrown talent to take the Australians on?
Obviously, yes, it is a concern, a major concern. Australia are very well geared up with the supply of young footballers to the top teams. And of course, we must work closer with Barla than probably we have been doing. But there are some good juniors coming through, I'm pleased to say. Castleford in particular have signed some good amateurs this season, and we're renowned for developing these youngsters. And of course, we are looking forward to the Colts of today to come through to be the stars of tomorrow.
But what about all these Australians and New Zealanders, though, who are coming over into our game? Is it actually a good thing, from your point of view, that we have to invite top Australians to come over and have huge salaries? Is it good for the game?
Well, they are draw cards to our game over here. Everyone would like Wally Lewis playing for them, I'm sure. He's a natural big draw card for any team. And to be honest, we at Castleford have had our fair share of imported players over. Unfortunately, our budget hasn't been the same as some of the first division clubs, but we've tended to choose wisely, and they've paid dividends for ourselves. Bob Linder, the last Australian that came over, the marvellous footballer. And I think the big difference is with these people, they are truly dedicated to the game.
It worries you, though, when you hear someone like Noel Cleal say, well, when he trained with Widnes, it was two laps around the park and then into the pub. I mean, are we really that naive over here, or is he looking at the wrong side of the game?
Well, apart from other comments that Bob Linder made whilst returning to Australia, he did mention that Castleford's training, physical training sessions were as hard as he's ever encountered. So teams and clubs do differ. All I can say is that the international players who are preparing this close season for the forthcoming tour of Australia will be physically conditioned and prepared for the games. I don't think by that time we should require any further fitness standard.
David, is the game really going to take off now? Because we've seen that there are problems in the game. Is there a good footing for it to leap off from now?
Well, I think there is. We've had tremendous feedback, not least from the television exposure this season, Harry. We've had some wonderfully entertaining games. And, of course, the First Division will be 14 strong only next season. A tremendous competition, very much on the lines of the Sydney competition, where teams play virtually test matches. Enormous pressure on people like Malcolm, the coaches, and so on, and no doubt on the players and the chairman. But that's what they want. That's what they're asking for now, and that's what they're demanding. And I think the future is very, very good.
Just a quick word, David, a blunt answer, if you don't mind. Will clubs have to fold for the league to get stronger?
Yes, these things never come together where timing is concerned in complete harmony, and it could well be that we have some casualties along the way before we actually attain the high standards which Maurice Lindsay was talking about in a general sense.
David and Mel, thank you very much indeed. Well, let's put the problems of the game behind us now and look ahead to tomorrow's Challenge Cup final. It's a real David and Goliath encounter, isn't it? Alex Murphy's mighty St Helens against Halifax, the small town club who've come good in recent years. The Halifax Building Society dominates a town which in the past has known little sporting success. But the Rugby League boys have changed all that. Getting to Wembley by beating Widnes in the semi-final was a dream come true for the club. 5 years ago, they nearly folded.
The taxman was owed £78,000. The gates were about £1,000 a match. It was losing something like £1,500 a week. And they all thought I'd got death with three, wanted to be associated with the place. Anyway, we got stuck in. We knew it was a rugby league area, you see, Halifax. It goes back to 1878. And we knew that if we showed some kind of success on the field, the crowds would come back.
And they did. Halifax won the championship last year. The fans at last had something to cheer. But two men masterminded it all. The club president and Australian player coach Chris Anderson, the club's best ever signing.
He's a wonderful man for team spirit. He's a great leader of the game. He's a quiet motivator as opposed to an extrovert one, you know, an arm around the shoulder type rather than a top thumper. But he can bring the best out of players, commands enormous respect because he does know literally so much about the game, and yet basically he's one of the lads.
Anderson knows all about Wembley. In 1975 he won a winner's medal with Widnes. 12 years on, his beard and wild looks have gone, but the skill hasn't deserted him. Against Hull Kingston Rovers in the quarter-finals this time round, he was superb.
Oh, that was a good tackle. Still going. Is he in? Yes, he is. Skipper Chris Anderson. Well, again, Colin Whitfield, he insists on throwing this ball to anybody, but it could have worked. There's a try there. Yes. It's Chris Anderson's second.
Anderson has taken to Halifax like the town has reacted to him, and in his last year as a player, he's ready for Wembley.
I just can't believe the fever pitch in town, that now the people just don't stop talking about it, and this is an unbelievably bigger thing than a championship to them. So, yeah, from the emotional point of view, it's a tremendous thing. It's one of the greatest things you can achieve, I think.
But Anderson also acknowledges the role fellow Australian Graham Eadie has played as well. He's also playing his last season, having been persuaded out of retirement for one final year.
By this Australian fullback, Graham Eadie.
All that goes down to Chris and David Brooke. You know, they persuaded me to come over, and you know, early on you know, the rustiness was still there, but you know, now it all seems to be going well.
The town will just about be closed tomorrow. It's off to Wembley, and the club aim to enjoy every minute of it. After all, it hasn't happened for 31 years.
There'll be nothing spared. Like the banquet on Saturday night will be something that London's never seen before. Champagne flowing, win or lose, but we don't think about losing, we will win.
No one doubts that Halifax can do it, especially if their Aussie connection really puts it all together. But what of an unbiased opinion? We thought we'd ask someone who knows the Australians very well.
Oh, well, darling, there's, you know, Chris Anderson, he's right little cutie, Chris is. And they've got that Keith Neller, he's a big boy. I've had a few dues with him before, and he's really got me going a few times.
More from Neil Holding, the St Helens joker, in a moment. St Helens have been to Wembley twice in the last 12 years. Here in '76, they beat Widnes.
And if it bounces right, it's in. And it bounces right, it is in. And he butted it down, Peter Glenn. What a moment for this boy.
The class of '87 is good as well. In the semi-final against Lee, they played well within themselves. But no one underestimates them, especially their coach, Alex Murphy. He's been to Wembley many times, but this means a great deal to him.
Oh, it's a nice chip. Oh, is he in? Yes, he is.
We've done exceptionally well. You know, we've not spent a lot of money at the club, and we've played some tremendous football. We've had a great season, but to take the town back, I mean, St Helens, to me, St Helens belong at Wembley, and we've sold 25,000 tickets in 10 days. So really, you can tell the atmosphere. The only problem what I worry about is that word of the 25,000 on a match day.
Apart from his impressions, Holding's role on the field in Murphy's old number 7 shirt is crucial. He puts St Helens' success down to 2 things.
Alex Murphy came along and he gave the lads the inspiration, the motivation to go. The lack of confidence which was shown just that little bit, and he came along and inspired us to bring out the best in every player. But the other thing I would think is that the lads have got that bit of confidence in each other, which was just lacking. And everything just seemed to come right at the right time.
Arkwright. Oh, superb dummy. He sends them the wrong way, and he's in.
Alex, it has been suggested by, I think, Chris Anderson, the Halifax captain, that the St Helens route to Wembley was a rather easy one. How do you react to that?
Well, I put that down as sheer garbage, to be honest, and there's only an Australian could say that. And Chris, in my opinion, we've got to Wembley on merit. We beat the team who knocked Wigan out, but because we knocked them out, it wasn't classed as a victory. And we're there because we will probably be the best side Halifax has played this year. And I would heed a word of warning to Chris. It's easy talking, it's a lot harder saying it and doing it.
Tell me, what do you think of the Halifax side?
Well, I think they've done well to get to Wembley, and I think that they've got a lot of star players, but I think the Saints have got a few more up their sleeves.
Master mimic Neil Holding, who obviously thinks his side will hold the whip hand at Wembley tomorrow. But let's end on an impartial note with the views of our guests in the studio. Briefly, David, who do you fancy for tomorrow's game?
Well, Saints are a super side and Murphy's magic, but I'm a sucker for fairy stories with happy endings. So for Chris's 35th birthday, David Brooks, Stan Ackroyd, all the lovely people at Halifax, I'm going for the Thramolers.
OK, Mal, well, you were there last year. Who do you fancy this time?
Well, I think the advantage that Halifax have is Chris, the coach, being on the park there. Although I think Alex will make his voice heard somewhere on the paddock. Basically, my heart says Halifax. I will be supporting Halifax, but my head says they're a little bit sharper, St Helens, and I think they could win.
Thanks, Mal. Well, in 24 hours, we'll know if those predictions have come true. Let's just hope it's a good game. From us all, good night.
Against Halifax promises to be a splendid occasion.
Halifax isn't exactly renowned for its sporting success, but in the past 2 years, the Rugby League boys have gone a long way to changing all that. Champions in '86, they're now back at Wembley for the first time in 31 years. Against Widnes in the semi-final.